All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. And check out Pig and a Pickle, two locations there in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Get the brisket. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Sam Darnold, because I think this is really one of the more interesting stories of the NFL offseason. Definitely one of the more interesting stories of the 49er offseason. If there was a surprise move that has been made by the Niners in this offseason, it was on day one of free agency, even before day one. This is day one of the tampering period. The 49ers worked out a deal with Sam Darnold that includes a lot of incentives. And they bring in Darnold, who was the third pick overall in the 2018 NFL draft. And a lot of people immediately speculated that Darnold's going to be the week one starter. We heard that from Ian Rappaport. We heard that from Jordan Palmer this week. A lot of people stating that just flatly, that Sam Darnold's going to be the week one starter. And obviously Brock Purdy's out with the injury. He's not expected to be back before week one. But what about that Trey Lance character? Why is it that Darnold, who has his own flaws, is immediately vaulted over Trey? And it's led to a lot of speculation. All right, let's talk a little bit about Darnold. Third pick overall, as I said, in the 2018 NFL draft. At that point, he was, 21 years of age. He was a very young rookie quarterback, one of the youngest rookie quarterbacks to ever come into the league. Then eventually the Jets traded him to Carolina in 2021 for a second and a fourth and a sixth round pick. But, this is a guy who's been known about for a long time. Grew up in Southern California, excellent high school athlete who was such a good high school basketball player that many people have said that Sam Darnold could have played college basketball. Justin Wilcox, the head coach for Cal, who was the USC defensive coordinator at the time, recruited Darnold heavily at a high school to play linebacker for the Trojans. And then if you look at what Sam did, he eventually went to SC, but obviously didn't play linebacker. He played quarterback. And in 27 games at SC, 24 collegiate starts, Darnold threw 57 touchdowns and 22 interceptions. The 22 interceptions in 24 starts is a lot. In a lot of ways, he's exactly what many teams are looking for in a quarterback, in that he's 6'4", he's 225 pounds, he has big hands, 9 3/8 inch hands. He throws a really nice ball, but the success hasn't been there in the NFL. Now, how much of that is the Jets? How much of that is the Panthers? How much of that is Sam Darnold? Well, obviously the 49ers feel like it's a lot of that's the Jets and the Panthers. Sam Darnold is 21 and 34 in the NFL. He's completed 60% of his passes, 61 touchdowns, 55 interceptions, which is a ton of interceptions. He's also had 35 fumbles. He's lost 13 of the 35 fumbles, but that is a ton of fumbles. So you threw 55 interceptions and you fumbled it 35 times. My goodness. I mean, you're talking about 90 turnovers, 90 times. It wasn't actually 90 turnovers because he only lost 13 of the 35 fumbles. But you're fumbling 35 times and you're throwing 55 picks. So what is it that the Niners like about Sam Darnold? Well, I think it has a lot to do with, there's several factors here. He's got NFL size. He has NFL arm strength. By most accounts, he has NFL accuracy. He definitely has mobility. He's shown a lot of poise at different times. And yet people will still be like, well, yeah, okay. But there's got to be something else there, because that's a lot of turnovers. 60% is not the most awesome completion percentage. And yeah, he's 6'4", but there's a lot of 6'4" guys. Yeah, he's 220, 225. There's a lot of guys who are 225. Why is Sam Darnold thought of so highly? Well, it's a great question, because we don't have just an absolute rock solid, take it to the bank kind of an answer. He has always been considered a guy who has great intangibles, that he has the it factor. People have always said that Sam Darnold has a ton of moxie, that he's a gamer. He won't quit. He'll push his team to victory. So he's always kind of thought to have had very good intangibles off the field and high football character. And he's considered a great leader. And just listening to some of the players talk about him, like Christian McCaffrey, you would swear they're talking about a proven NFL quarterback who's got nothing but Pro Bowl seasons under his belt, and he's just the real deal, and there's just no doubting him. And I think that comes from the fact that this guy's got great intangibles. He's got a lot of moxie. He doesn't quit. He's got high football character. He's a leader. He's a try-hard guy. And lots of NFL teams, when he was coming out in the draft, spoke highly about him in this regard. He's not the big rah-rah yeller screamer. He's kind of calm and quiet. A lot of NFL GMs felt like that he was the top quarterback in his 2018 draft class, and that, he would be a better pro than he was in college. But what we've seen is turn the ball over a lot in college, 22 interceptions in 24 games, and he's thrown 55 interceptions in a very short amount of time in the NFL. So what is it that's happening to him? What is it that I see? All right, well, when I roll the film back and forth, and this is not, I'm not talking to Sam. I don't know him. I don't know how he's processing. He does appear to process what he sees at the line of scrimmage correctly and quickly. So that's a positive. You got to process what you see correctly. You got to do it quickly. But to me, there's the turnover total is totally concerning. And when you look at it, the only thing I can point to is he has a little bit of an elongated release. So his release, from when he recognizes where he wants to go with the ball to the ball coming off of his fingertips, that's a little bit of a longer release than many players have. You think of the quickest releases in the game. Old school, you think of Dan Marino. The younger guys, you think of Garoppolo had a very quick release. Aaron Rodgers has a very quick release. You want a quick release because that's whenever you're identifying where you're going with the ball, that's when guys start to break on the ball. So if there's a lot of time between when you're identifying where you want to go to the ball coming off your fingertips, even if you have a great arm, you're going to have guys break on your football. I think that's part of the issue with Sam Darnold, is that he has kind of a slowish, elongated release. He kind of telegraphs where he's going with the football, maybe a half second quicker than your average NFL quarterback, and maybe that allows DBs and linebackers to break on his ball and to intercept more of them. But I can also see why the 49ers like him. He's big, he's athletic, he's got a good temperament, he's definitely a hard worker. He's considered by almost all accounts to be a leader. He's very much understands what it means to be a professional football player as far as the preparation. And I think that obviously Shanahan has claimed that he's liked him for a long period of time. And so he's got an opportunity here to give him a shot, and he's going to give him a shot. But if you wanted to say, what do the Niners see? I think they're looking at how bad the Jets are, how bad the Panthers are, and how highly thought of this guy was back in 2016 when he was at USC. A lot of people thought this guy was going to be a super blue chipper. Shanahan probably had a really high grade on Darnold coming out. A lot of people like the way he throws, the velocity, the accuracy. Then you mix in the intangibles, the temperament and the maturity and the hard worker and the intelligence and all those things that coaches like. And you can see why he's like, hey, you know what? I'll take a chance on a 6'4", 220-pound kid who's now only 24. I think a lot of people are giving him a pass because of the Jets. being the Jets. I think a lot of people are giving him a pass because he was one of the youngest quarterbacks in the history of the league coming into the league. So maybe there was an adjustment period. And I think everybody's pointing to, hey, you know what? This kid was an all around athlete in a really athletic high school down in San Clemente. Could have played a number of different sports: baseball, basketball, football. Good competitor, lots of intangibles. So I think that's what the Niners are looking at. They're hoping that in their offense, with their weapons, with Kyle calling the plays, that the results are going to be a whole lot better than what they were in New York with the Jets or in Charlotte with the Panthers. And I can see why, because Shanahan is a great play caller, and he's got a collection of some of the NFL's finest weapons. So it is interesting how much of the huge numbers of turnovers have to come with the fact that he doesn't protect the ball very well when he gets sacked. I think that's a factor. That he's got a little bit of an elongated release. Guys break on his ball a little bit better. That could be a factor. All I'll say is the Niners are looking at him and they're saying, hey, you know what? He's had a lot of turnovers. He's had a lot of struggles, but that's on the Jets. That's on the Panthers. In our system, with our play caller, with our coaching staff, we can make it right. We're going to find out. What I see is a guy who doesn't take care of the football very well in a muddied pocket, oftentimes has one hand on the football, leading to fumbles. I see an elongated release where he's telegraphing where he's going with the ball and giving DBs a better chance to break on his ball. And I see an alarming number of turnovers, both in college and in the pros. So I'm skeptical. I'm absolutely skeptical. I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold. I understand, that he's got the NFL prototypical size, and he's an athlete, and he's still relatively young. And NFL people think he has great intangibles, and then you follow it up with the work ethic and the poise and the maturity now after a few years going through some tough roads in the NFL. And maybe Shanahan thinks, you know what, we're catching lightning in a bottle. I'm not buying it. I see a guy with an elongated release who's way, way, way too turnover prone to really be a successful NFL quarterback. Time will tell. But there you go. What do the Niners see? They see a prospect that's on the verge of something great. I see a guy who's a turnover monster. All right, hope you enjoyed the 49er video. Make sure you check out Pig in a Pickle in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And thanks for sponsoring, or supporting, I should say, The Krug Show on YouTube.